Hello my lovelies, welcome back to my channel. This is your girl Angel from Simply Angel Tia. In this video we are working on these granny stitch pants here, striped. As you can see, we have a black and white or black and off-white, and this is what we're gonna be working on. So this is something that I wanted to make because making a sweater with the same pattern for my husband, so I thought it would be so cute for me to have the pants in the same kind of colors and the same pattern as his sweater. So yeah, this is what why I made this. So yeah, you will probably see in the pictures that I will show some pictures of him wearing his sweater and me wearing my pants. So this was the inspiration from that, okay? But yeah, these are very easy to do. We're using granny stitch to make these pants. It's very simple. And of course, I'm gonna explain the steps in a more like step-by-step type of way because I gear my videos towards mostly beginners as well. So if you're an advanced, intermediate, advanced crocheter, you probably don't get to do something like this because you will know how to do it without a tutorial. But for you beginners, if you want to make something like this, dive into this video. But for now, let me grab all my materials so we can go ahead and get started. Okay, my lovelies, before we get this project started, I'm going to show you the materials that I'm using for today. And as you can see here, I have my two colors that I'm going to be working to make these pants. And I have my black and my off-white. You can use any colors of your choice. You can do this project in one solid color, or you can use more than two colors. So that is all up to you. It's a preference at that point, okay? So this yarn I'm using is from Azurite. It's 100% acrylic, and it is a lightweight number 3. This color number, even though it's black, this company go by a color number. It's 585, and recommended hook size is 3.5 to 4 millimeter crochet hook, and you get about 50 grams or 140 meters per skein like this. All the information is exactly the same as this off-white one, except the color number, which this one is 0211. Okay, so these are the two colors that I'm using for my project today. I'm gonna be using a 5 millimeter crochet hook or H8 US. The reason I do that is the reason I'm using a hook that is not recommended or bigger than what the recommendation is because when I do the granny stitch, I often like to have a little bit of a bigger hook just to make my stitches kind of be a little bit loose as opposed to be tight. So that's why, but you can definitely use what is recommended for your yarn. I have my scissors here to cut my strands or my yarn. I have darning needle here, and then I have stitch markers as well as a tape measure to be able to determine the size. So let's go ahead and get started. Okay, so to get this project started, I'm gonna start by working on the band of the pants. And that's just the band that obviously goes around our waist. And to do that, I'm going to leave a little bit of a string hanging to be able to join our band after. And you just have to estimate that. So this is often enough to be able to join because our band is going to be about 2 inches or less than 2 inches. And so it's enough to just leave something like that. And so I'm going to do a slip knot. So I do it like this. I just wrap the yarn around my thumb like that. It creates this X in the back. I pinch it with my index finger. And then I bring the yarn out of my thumb like that. I slide it off my thumb. I put my hook through and then I yarn over and pull. And that's my slip knot. That's how I do it, okay? Do the slip knot however you usually do it, obviously, but that's how I do it. And then you're going to determine at this point how wide you want your band to be. I do my band very frequently to be about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. Sometimes I may do 3 inches, but it's very rare. So for me, the size of band I do normally is by starting a chain of 11. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, so this is my band right here. So it's gonna be about this long or this wide. Okay, and then I'm gonna pivot my work just like this. There's this 11th chain where my working yarn comes out of. I'm gonna skip that. In the next one right here, I'm gonna go ahead and go in the back of my chain. So as you can see, this is the back of my chain. It has these lumps back here, and then this side is a little bit flatter and it has these V's that go like this. Okay, so if you flip it to the back, and you skip that work the chain where the working yarn comes out of, I go ahead and grab the back like this. So I just grab the back lump and I complete a single crochet. And then I will go ahead and do the next. So I go into the next stitch, grab the back, and then I complete a single crochet, and then I go into the next. And when you're doing this, it's also an option. You can just go by working through this by grabbing these stitches here. I just do this because I find it makes the work look nicer, especially this side. As you can see, this side have these V's here, and the bottom side will do the same because of where we work our stitches in. Okay, so this is just a preference. If you like the other way, just work by going through the first loop of your work. Okay, the front loop. Anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and just complete my single crochets going in the back of the foundation chain. And then by the time that I finish it, I have 10 stitches. And the reason I have 10 stitches is because I worked in the 10th stitch as opposed to the 11th. The 11th is the first one that we skipped. Okay, so you're gonna end up having 10 stitches all throughout this part of the project, just like that. Okay, so that's my first row of my band. I have 10 stitches here. And yeah, so I'm gonna go ahead and start the second row, and I will chain one. This chain one does not count as a stitch, so you're gonna turn your work, and then in that very first stitch you're gonna go ahead and find the back loop, which for me is right here. I'm gonna just go into that very first stitch and grab the back loop and complete a single crochet. Then I'm gonna go into the next stitch and complete a single crochet. And from this point on, we're going to be working by doing single crochets in the back loop only of our single crochet stitches. Okay, and this is also I chose here for the sake of the project. Is good if you do this, but if you want to kind of modify it and work different stitches, for example, you can do this exact same thing with half double crochets, or you can do this exact same thing with slip stitches. But I think for the sake of the tutorial, it's good if you follow this, and then if you're an advanced crocheter, you can kind of modify this and make it different stitches to do the same stitch but different stitches. Okay, so for this last stitch here, I don't go in the back loop like this, which would be what a lot of people would do, but I don't like that it kind of pulls and leaves this gap here like this. I think it looks off. So what I do is I go through both loops for that final stitch. I grab both loops like this, and I find that it makes it a little bit tighter like that. Okay, and then for the third row, I'm going to chain one and turn my work, and then just continue to do the exact same thing. So just grab your back, the back of your single crochet stitches, and complete a single crochet. Then you will go all the way to the end. For me, for the final 10th stitch, I go through both loops, chain one, turn, and I just repeat that until I have the length of the band that I want. And the way you establish that, or you get that, is, for me, I measure the widest part of my hips because we want to be able to pull our pants up from the bottom. So I measure the widest part of my hips, and I'll just show you what I mean by that. So I take my tape measure and I put it around the widest part of my hips, around like this. So for me, my hips, the widest part of my hips is usually around 38 to 40 inches. And if I want it to be a little bit loose, I increase by adding more. But often if I do it at that, I often do more the 38 than the 40. And that would mean then I do this part of it to make it so that it can go around the widest part of my hips like that. And that is by stretching it. So you don't just lay it on you like this, because if you do, this is gonna be really wide for your waist, because these band have to actually go above to your waist. So for that reason, if you really stretch it around the widest part of your hips, it makes it so that it stretches so that you can pull it up. But it makes it so that if you don't stretch it, it kind of snatches back in, and then it can actually go around your waist a lot easier. And that's why we do it like that. Okay, so for me, I'm gonna work the number of stitches, and out of experience and obviously doing this very frequently, I often end up doing about 90 to 100 rows of the single crochet in the back loop. And the reason we also do this in the back loop is it makes it very stretchy. So our band becomes very, very stretchy, and it makes it easy to reach the widest part of your hips, the size of the widest part of your hips easier. And then when it gets to the waist, it kind of snatches back in, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and complete my band here. When I have what I need, I will come back and then I will show you how to work the next part of the project, okay? I will see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my band here. So as you can see, it's quite long, so it doesn't fit all on camera, but I'm just moving it so that you can see how long it is. And this is when I don't stretch it. So if I bring it in like this is actually how the band looks. But when I stretch it, as you can see here, it's quite stretches. It's very, very stretchy because of the stitch that we did here. And as you can see, this is how stretchy it is. And I'm not even stretching it to the maximum, okay? So these here, I did 96 rows for me. I could have done 100 because 100 would have been just 4 more of these to make it 100. But I just, it's not going to make too much of a big difference for me. Besides, if I make it more rows, it's going to make it so that it doesn't fit on my waist properly. And if you do encounter that where your hips are very wide, but your waist is very small, it's okay. Go still with the measurement of the widest part of your hips. And we can always do a drawstring for your pants so that when you pull it up, if it's too loose on your waist, we do a drawstring that we can use to be able to hold your pants up. So that's not a problem in that way, okay? So I have my band completed here, okay? So I stopped here. So what I will do is I will just line up my band like this because we do need to join it here, okay? So I line it up like this. I have my working yarn is still on, so I don't actually disconnect this at all. And the reason for that is if you leave your a small string of yarn hanging at the beginning, you have that to be able to join here. But what most people do, or some people do, is they don't leave anything like this. And what they do is they use this. They either cut this and then have the string from here and use it to join here, or they use the working yarn from here to do either slip stitches all the way back this way, or they do single crochets all the way back this way. I don't like that because I find it has a little bit of a lump on one of these stitches, but the method that I'm using make it so that it looks just like this when I'm done with it, as opposed to it having like this lump that goes across here because you did stitches across. Anyways, that's a choice. A lot of people do it different ways. You do it however you prefer it. But for me, I take my thread needle here and I put my thread through it, just like that. And then I will just use this to join my work across like this. So the way I do it is I just go here and I grab the first stitch here and I go through both loops. And then the first stitch on this side, I go through both loops like that. Then I pull like that, and I do one more in that same stitch just to reinforce and make sure that it's nice and solid here. And then for the rest of the 9 remaining stitches, I grab the inside loop of this side, so the back loop, and then the front loop on the opposite side. Then I pull it, then I grab the inside loop on this side, the inside loop on the other side, and I do this all across. And you don't pull it too much, so just be gentle. If you pull it too much, you end up making it wrinkly here. But don't leave it too loose either because it's gonna look weird. So just even, as you can see here, just even way of doing it, okay? And I go across the 9 remaining stitches here, or I do 8 actually, all the way like that. And then for this final stitch, one more here. And then for this final stitch right here, I go through both loops. So I go through both loops here, I go through both loops on the other side. And this is just the same as we did at the beginning here. And then I do it one more time. This time I take my yarn, I loop it around like that, and I bring it through. Okay, so that kind of simulates a slip knot. And then I pull out my thread needle, pull it out, and then as you can see, if I stretch it like this, this is how it looks. This is where we join it. Okay, so now my band is fully done. It's just now hollow like this. Now, without having cut my working yarn off completely, I continue working on that now. Okay, so for those of you who are intermediate crocheters or advanced, obviously this is probably something that you find extremely tedious or hideous to explain. I just explain everything because I gear my channel towards beginners or beginners who can do something that looks a little bit more advanced, but it is really beginners because of how I explain it. So please bear with me and be patient. Obviously, if you know all of this, you just kind of hop ahead and complete the project before. But if you're a beginner, I think this kind of explanation is useful for you. Okay, and then now that I have my working yarn here, I'm going to go ahead and complete and do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3. This chain of 3 counts as a double crochet, and in that same stitch right there, I'm going to do 2 more double crochets. So a first one, second one, and then of course my chain 3 counts as a third double crochet. And then what I do is I skip these 2. So this row here, this here is one of the rows of the single crochets, and this side here is the second. So I go into the middle here, and that kind of simulates me skipping 2 stitches, and I go into that top and I complete 3 double crochets in that same stitch, not stitch but gap. Okay, just like that. Okay, and then I will skip this section here and this section here, which means I go on top here to complete my next granny stitch, which is 3 double crochets into the same gap. Okay, like that. Then I skip this side and this side, I go on top again and complete my next 3 double crochets. Okay, so now that you kind of understand where it goes, you're pretty much just going on top of each of the lumps. Okay, on top of these lumps here, you complete 3 double crochets. That is just to make it as simple so that you don't have to feel like you need to count what you're skipping every time. Okay, so I will do this all around until I get back to the beginning here. So go ahead and complete your row of the granny stitches like that, and then come back when you have reached the end, and your last one should be right on top of this lump right here. This area right here should be your last, and then come back to the video and I will show you what to do for the second row. Okay, so come back when you finish. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my first row of the granny stitch here. So as you can see, that is how it looks so far. Okay, and then so I have also come to the final stitch there, and so what I'm gonna do is I need to join this side to this side. So I'm just gonna go on top of the chain 3. So 1, 2, 3, and on that third chain I'm going to go on it and complete a slip stitch just like this. Okay, and now this first row is completed. For the second row, I'm going to do a chain of 3. And now for this project, we're going to always start with a chain of 3, which counts as a double crochet. And then I'm going to go into this gap right here and complete 2 more double crochets. And that makes it 3 double crochets altogether with a chain 3, like that. And then I'm going to hop to this gap here and complete 3 double crochets. So for those of you who know the granny stitch, then you kind of understand what we're doing from here on. So I just complete 3 double crochets, skip the 3 stitches, go into this gap, complete 3 double crochets, and I do this all around until I come back to the beginning, until I come back here. Okay, so nothing too complicated. And when you do that, you're gonna finish this second row of the granny stitch, come back. I'm gonna change the color to the off-white, so I'm gonna show you guys how to change the color and then how to start that row, and then I'm gonna pretty much explain how you get to a couple of rows before we do have the split of the legs and how we do that. Okay, because these are pens that we're working on, so we're gonna end up having to make a separation in the middle here to have one of your legs and one of your legs, and we're gonna work on each of the legs individually. Okay, so go ahead and complete the second row until you come back to here So this gap here will be your final 3 double crochets. Then come back, we will connect it here and then change the color. I will see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I have completed my second row here, and as you can see, this is pretty much how it looks now. So as you can see, it kind of curves out quite a lot. This is normal. Okay, it's gonna start to kind of stabilize itself as you work more rows into it, but also this is the way it's gonna pretty much be in some senses to it, because this is where your waistline goes, so it's gonna snatch on your waistline really nice and tight. But this is pretty much the second row completed here. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the color change and also start the third row. And for the third row, you're going to pretty much do exactly what we have done for the rest of it here. And I'm just gonna explain really quickly as well how you would get to the point where we have to make the division for your legs, okay? So the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go into the third stitch of the chain 3 we did and go like this. And then I'm gonna stop here and I'm gonna cut my my yarn here just like that and put my black yarn away. And then I'm gonna go ahead and bring the white in. So we're now going to go with the off-white, and I'm going to now work 2 rows with this. Okay, so the way I'm doing this is I'm alternating 2 rows of the granny stitch in black and then 2 rows of the granny stitch in the off-white. If you want to do just one solid color, then of course you don't cut these at all. You continue to just work your rows. And if you're changing colors more than twice or more than 2 colors, then you're gonna decide how you want that to be. Is it one color for each and then again repeat, or however you want to do that, okay? But as you can see here, I don't complete my slip stitch. I have my hanging, or the yarn that I just cut hanging here. I'm gonna bring it to my right and hold it. Then I'm gonna bring my white and just kind of bring it through the 2 loops like that. And then I have the white and the black that I'm gonna hold on my right hand side here. And then I'm gonna do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3. And that counts as my double crochet. And then in this same gap, I'm gonna go ahead and complete 2 more double crochets. So nothing changes. As you see, it just looks like how we started the rows previously. And I have this hanging here. I'm gonna leave it now. And then I'm gonna go ahead and go into the next gap here and complete 3 double crochets. And then move on to the next gap here and complete 3 double crochets. And then I do these all around again until I come back to here. I will complete my 3 double crochets here, slip stitch on the 3rd chain. So 1, 2, 3. So slip stitch right here, chain 3, do the same thing, and then just continue and do 2 rows of that. Then when you do 2 rows of the off-white, you will change your color back to the black, and then you do 2 rows of the black, and then you change back to the off-white, and you just alternate like that, okay? So I'm gonna kind of explain to you how to do how many rows to do here. So as you can see, the first thing that you will do is you will need to measure or see how far you go from where you want the bend to start, okay? Where you want the bend to start and how far you want it, how far it goes to the opening of your legs. So you're gonna put your work like this and then just measure. Let's say you want it to be the top of the belly button is here. You're gonna measure all the way to where the split of your legs come. So let's say it's 10 inches. Then you're gonna do 10 inches. You're gonna make sure this is 10 inches from here to where you stop, because after 10 inches, then we need to divide and create a one leg here and one leg here, okay? What I normally recommend is if you have a bigger backside, which is my case, I actually increase this by usually about 2 inches. So instead of 10, because that is the opening at the front, I go to 10 to 12. The reason I do that is because the back is bigger. This is gonna make it so that the opening probably comes in at 8. Or in that case, if this is the opening at the front, then maybe the opening in the back is going to be a little bit longer. So I just do how much the opening in the back would allow me to go down to. I hope that makes sense. Anyways, so do that. And then when you have the number of rows that bring you to 12 inches, in my case, then I will stop. Also, make sure it's give and take. If your 12 inches is the second set of the the two colors. The way we alternate in colors, we do 2 rows of each of the colors. So let's say you get to 12 inches, but you only have the first row of the one color, and you need to do one more. Just do that one more color, or come without it like that, or do 1 row at the end. Let me do it like this. Sorry, I don't want to confuse you. So let's do it like this, because we need to divide the legs. What I will do in my case is I will work, and then whatever the last color I do to stop for my opening, I'm gonna do 1 row of that color. So let's say it's the black, I'm gonna do 1 row of the black at the end. And that way, when I start to divide my legs, I will do 1 more row of the black in each of the legs before I change the color to the off-white. I don't know if that makes sense. It will make sense when I come back, okay? So work your rows and then come back when you have completed the length before the opening of your legs. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and worked the length that I want here. So this is what I want before we create the legs here. And as you can see, I just quickly counted how many of these granny stitches I have all around. I have 42. Then I divided that in half. I have 21 on one side and 21 on each side. So I put this in the 21 spot over there. Okay, so this is what I was talking about earlier, to do, as we're doing 2 rows for each color. For the final row here, I did just 1 row, or for the final color here, I did 1 row, because I would like to use the next row for the second row of this to be in the same color. Okay, so with that said, then and I think I have let me see, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 20 1 2 3 4 5. So I have 25 rows that I've completed here. After the band, I have 25 rows. Okay, so now that I have that, as you can see, I divided it in half. This means that this is 1 leg here and this is 1 leg here, but I want to make sure that this is actually gonna be enough to go around the widest part of my leg. And the widest part of my leg is about 22 inches, so it's about 22 inches around like that. This is the widest part of my leg. And this is obviously when it's tight. So if I just don't do anything, if I don't stretch it, then it's that, and it will fit tight. If I want it loose, then I can increase by adding more to it. So, but beside that, I'm gonna measure in inches what I have already here. So from there to here, I have 10 inches. And this is just one side, because obviously there's the other side, so 20. So I have 20, which means I need 2 more inches to cross for the center here. Okay, so in that case, then I'm gonna do a number of chains here that is going to give me the other 2 inches to be able to have my leg fit the widest part of my leg here. And then if you want it to be a little bit loose, this is where you can increase to make this wider, and therefore it makes it so that your leg is gonna be, your pants are gonna fit a little bit loose on your legs. But that is up to you. But for me, I'm going to leave it at this fit where it's gonna be more a little bit on the fitted side on the widest part of my leg. Obviously, it's gonna be loose on the parts of my legs that are too skinny. Okay. So what I will do here is, let me start by doing a chain of 10. So 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 9 10. And as you guys know, you just have to measure the chain here to see if it is the 2 inches that I want, or if it's more, whatever the case is. So as you can see, it's 2.5 inches. So the 10 chains is 2.5 inches. I'm okay with it. The half inch is not gonna make a big difference, so I'm okay to leave this at 10 chains. Okay, at 10 inches. Sorry, 2 inches, 2.5 inches. I'm gonna leave it at that. And then what I will do is, on the other side where I have the stitch marker, I'm just gonna go right into that gap, and I'm gonna slip stitch right there like this, just like that. Okay, and then I'm gonna remove the stitch marker because I don't need it anymore. I'm gonna put it out. Now, some people remove the or cut these here off and slip it there so that they can start working on this completely somewhere else. I'm okay to work on this directly from here. So I will pivot my work this way, and I will actually start working my work like that, and come out here and then go back like this. Okay, If you have a different way that you work the center part, please go ahead and do that. But I'm going to work it like this. So I'm going to do a chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3. And then in that same, I will do 2 more double crochets to make it my granny stitch. And then I'm going to move on to this next gap here. And I'm going to go ahead and complete my granny stitch. And then I'm going to move on to the next gap here and complete my granny stitch. And as you can see, I will just do this all around until I get to here. So do it until you get to here, because the next part is we're going to work across the bridge of the of this bridge that we created here, which is for the legs. But for now, you just do the exact same thing we've been doing until you get to this section here with your granny stitches. Okay, see you guys in a minute. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my row here of the granny stitches, and now I've reached the center. So this is now we have our 10 stitches that we created here to create the bridge, and we're gonna go into that. So as you can see, I did my granny stitches here. So what I will do is I will count 1, 2, which are the stitches I will skip, and in these here, which is the third, I'm going to go ahead and create my granny stitches. So I'm gonna do my 3 double crochets, so 1 and 2, and then I'm gonna go ahead and skip 2, 1, 2. In the third here, I'm gonna go ahead and do, oops, sorry, I need to do 3 stitches right here, and then I will go ahead and do 3 stitches here. So that is my second cluster of double crochets. Okay, and then I'm gonna do another one. And so pretty much in these stitches that we have in the middle here, we are going to put clusters of double crochets by skipping 2 stitches, and in the third we do cluster of double crochet. So I'm gonna do another one right there. This is the part that is a little bit tricky to work in, but we do what we have to do. Okay, like that. And then now I'm gonna just slip stitch, because this is the 2 I'm skipping here. I'm gonna slip stitch on top of the chain 3 that we created to start this row. But because it's now the moment that I have to change the color, I'm going to leave it like this, bring my scissors in and cut it somewhere there. And I'm gonna bring in my off-white. Okay, so this is where I change the color. I'll do 2 rows in this color, change it back to the black, do 2 rows in the black, and then I just alternate this to create my leg, one of my legs, and I'll do this until I get to the length of my pen, of my pens. Okay, and then after that I will be able to come back and show you how to start the other one. Okay, but here I just change the color like I've been doing. Go like this, and then from here do a chain of 3, and then go into this gap here and complete 2 more double crochets, because my chain 3 counts as a stitch, just like that. Then I go ahead and right here I complete 3 double crochets. So that's 2, 3, and then I go ahead and do 3 here, and obviously you understand now what we're doing. So just do this all the way. I will do this and begin and all the way until you come here. So you will obviously do your last cluster right here, and then what you will do is you will come back to the video. I will show you how to start the next row in the white, and then I will pretty much have you guys work the leg until it's finished. And then when that's done, I will come back to show you how to start the second leg. But for now, just work yourself across like this until you come back here, and then come back to the video. Okay, my lovelies, so I have worked my row here in the off-white, and as you can see, this is where I am now. So I just went across the bridge here, and we just follow the same thing that we did previously. And now that I'm here, I'm gonna go ahead and slip stitch on top of the chain 3 that we created at the beginning of the row, and I just slip stitch like that. Okay, and then to start the second row in the off-white, because we do 2 rows per color, I'm going to do a chain of 3 again, and then just work my 2 more double crochets here to make it 3 with a chain 3, And then I will move on to this gap here and complete my granny stitch. Oopsie. Just like that. And then I move on to the next, and then I just continue this until I come back to here. When I do my last cluster of 3 double crochets here, I will slip stitch here, but instead of completing the slip stitch, I'm actually gonna change the color, and I just do it like I just have been showing you guys. So I just change the color back to the black, and then I do the second two, I do the 2 rows in black, I change to the white, off white, I do 2 rows, and I continue this until I create one of these leg. Okay, so nothing too complicated. It's gonna take you a bit to be able to work on that. I will do the same. When I've completed one leg completely, I will come back and I will show you guys how to start the second one. So as you guys can see here, this is pretty much what we have so far. Okay, so this is what we have. This is where we have the leg that we're going to be working on until it's done, and then we'll continue on this one when that one is done. And then this is the top here. Okay, so nothing too complicated. Please continue to work on this, and when you have completed the one leg, come back, and then I will show you guys how to start the second leg. Okay, see you guys then. Okay, my lovelies, so I've gone ahead and completed the one of the legs for the pants, and as you can see, this is pretty much how it looks like. So I have done the length that is of my size, and of course you would have done the same, go with the length of your size. I ended up finishing it off with the I've ended up finishing it off with the 2 rows in the black. So obviously you will do that with whatever color it's gonna end with. It doesn't matter, but as long as it's the length that you want. So obviously it goes all the way to my ankles. So with that done, I'm gonna go ahead and show you how to start the other leg, and then I will have you guys complete the other leg as well. Okay, so with that said, I'm going to go ahead and just place my hook somewhere here where we can go ahead and start off the second leg. And I'm gonna continue with the black because as you can see, we're doing 2 rows of each color, and in this side here we only have 1 row on the black so far. So we're gonna do the second row in the black, and that way we can then alternate and then go back to doing the 2 rows in the off-white and then the 2 rows in black, and then so on and so forth. Okay, so to do that, I'm prepping my color here. So this is the black, and I'm gonna start by doing a slip knot, just something like this. And as you can see, I'm keeping it consistent. This is gonna be the outside of my pants, so I'm gonna keep it consistent like this. So I'm not starting, for example, here and going like that. I'm starting here so that I can then continue to work in a circle like that. Okay, so a slip knot here is to start by to start our work. And then what I will do here is I will go right into this space here, and I'm gonna go ahead and put my hook in the space, and then bring my loop that I just created, and I'll bring it through like this. And then now that I have it here, as you can see, I have my string that I need to hold on to so that I don't lose my work. Okay, and then I'm gonna start by doing my chain of 3. So 1, 2, 3, and then I'm gonna go ahead in the same space here, I'm gonna go ahead and do 2 more double crochets to make it 3, because it's the consistency of our work. We're doing the 3 double crochets in each gap for our granny stitch. Okay, and then I'm gonna move on to this gap here, and I'm gonna do my 3 double crochets as well. So 2 and 3. Then I'm gonna move on to the next space here, and I'm gonna go ahead and do my 3 double crochets. Okay, and then I will just continue to do this all around, and in this case just do it all the way to this last spot here. So on the other side, before you come across the bridge, you will do your your 3 double crochets here, and then come back to the video, and then I will show you how to bridge it across and go across the bridge that we created, and then how to finish it off here, our second row, and then how to change the color again. And then after that, I will have you guys work and finish the rest of the leg. Okay, so for now, just meet me when you have reached the other side before the bridge. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and just came around the leg opening here. So I am on the other side before we go across the bridge. So this is the part that I wanted to come back and show you how to do. And then when we connect to the other side, I will have you work on the rest of it on your own. So I'm gonna go ahead and do that at this moment. So again, making sure that you have the same size on this side as the other. Just count. What I did was I just count these bulbs here, or like the lumps of the 3 double crochets or the clusters, and then I make sure it's gonna be the same as the other side. Okay, so I have about 25 on the other side. I will be able to have 25 on this side as well. So I have this gap here to go into, so I'm gonna go ahead and complete my next 3 double crochets into that gap. Okay, and just like this. And then now for the middle, I have these 3 double clusters of 3 double crochets. So I'm just gonna go ahead and hop right into the opposite side of that. So that would be the stitch that I did put these 3 double crochets in. On the opposite side of it, I'm gonna do 3 double crochets as well. So that is 2 and 3. Oopsie. Okay, and then the work is a little bit big now, so it's a little bit difficult to kind of maneuver it around. And then I will go on top, so the opposite of these 3 double crochets. On the other side, I will complete 3 more double crochets. Okay, and then I have one more, so on these here I will go ahead and complete 3 more double crochets. Okay, 1, 2 and 3. Okay, so now this is how it should look in the middle. Okay, so you have your stitches lining up evenly to the other side. And then on here, I'm gonna go ahead into this gap here and complete 3 double crochets. So 1, 2 and 3. And then now I can slip stitch onto this side. So just grab the last stitch of the chain 3 like that. And then because we're changing the color, I'm gonna go ahead and grab my my scissors, cut the black yarn off here, and then I'm gonna go ahead and bring in the white, the off-white. And again, I'm just gonna show you how we're changing the color here, and then you will be able to work on the rest of it on your own, because it's just literally the same as we did on the other side. Okay, so when you change this color to the off-white, you will do 2 rows of this, and then you will change the color back to the black, do 2 rows in the black. Okay, so I go ahead and change my color like this, and then chain 3. Okay, I will grab these 2 strings and bring them to my right hand side here and hold them here, and then I'll complete 2 more double crochets into that same gap, because our chain 3 counts as a double crochet. So now we have our cluster here, and then at that point it's just easy to go around and complete the first row in the off-white, and it's gonna bring you all around back to this section here where we just started. So you'll do your final 3 double crochets here in the off-white, slip stitch on top of the chain 3, start the second row, and then just continue to build your leg until you finish the length. Now, obviously, because you want to make sure it matches exactly as you did on the other side, make sure you count after the opening here how many rows you ended up doing for the first leg. And then that way you can make sure you do the exact same number of rows on this side, so that one leg is not longer than the other. Okay, so go ahead and work on the rest of the leg here. When you complete it, come back to the video. What I will probably do as well as before I come back is I will flip my work inside out, and I will weave in all the strings of where we change the color, because we change the color quite frequently. And then as well, I will probably do a long drawstring that I will be able to do use for my waistband, so that my waistband can kind of snatch in a little bit. So I will do all of that before I come in, but I will come and explain to you how to put in the drawstring. Okay, so go ahead and finish this second leg, and I will see you guys at the end. Okay, see you guys in a bit. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and completed the other leg here. So as you can see, we finished one in the previous clip, and this is it here. And then I had started the second leg here, and I have worked it and finished that as well. So as you can see, obviously the pants are long, that I cannot show the whole thing on camera right now, but this is pretty much it. So I have also gone ahead and weaved in all the ends, so I don't have all of the hanging yarn that we had from changing the colors frequently. Those are all gone, and I didn't actually weave them in. What I do when I work with a project like this that is very gappy, I find that if I weave it in, it at some point comes apart, and then there's these strings that appear and pop out of everywhere. So what I do is I just do a quick knot, couple of knots, and then I just cut it off. That way I leave it nice and clean. Okay, so that is it here. So I have already obviously flipped it to the right side, so this is the side that will be the outside of the pants. And what I've also done is I've gone ahead and created a long strap. So I have about 200 in chains here that I'm going to then kind of weave into my pen. So I'm just gonna kind of guesstimate the middle will be like around here, and I'm using the middle of the pens here to just go up, and then this is gonna be about the middle of my pens. So I'm gonna go ahead and get my my threading needle, and then I'm gonna insert the thread into the threading needle here, and then just pull. So this kind of these plastic darning needles are great for that because it's wide enough here that you can do that. And then what I will do is I probably want, like, let's say these three rows here to be where I leave these without putting the thread through. That way this is gonna be where I tie it. So I'm just gonna start by going through here to start threading in, or to start weaving in my drawstring into the band. So I'm gonna leave something like this, and then I'm gonna go ahead and continue doing that around the band. And as you can see, I'm not going too high, but I'm not going too low either. It's just enough that we have enough gap on top so that we're not kind of putting it right on top of the work here. And I just do these around, all around, until I come back to here. So as you can see, I wanted to leave these three sections here open, so my last, when my darning needle comes around, it's gonna come and just come out right here. Okay, so do that, just go around, and then when you have come to this section here, come back to the video. We will finish off the video at that time. Okay, see you guys in a minute. Okay, my lovelies, so I have gone ahead and weaved it in just around, and as you can see, I have reached the section where I'm gonna leave this section here like that, because I will be able to use to tie here. I will just remove my darning needle. What I do for the just the extra excess yarn at the end of the chains here, I just do a knot or two, and the reason I don't do it at the beginning is because it's easy to thread my needle when there's no lump here that stops it from going through, or just makes it difficult. So I do it at the end, and then I just take my scissors and I cut that off here, and then I just do the same on this side. I just knot it 2 to 3 times, and this is just so that your chain does not come apart whenever either way you're washing it, or just somebody kind of, you know, pulls it by accident and it comes apart. So I just do something like that, and then I cut it off. Okay, so, and as you can see, I leave it, it's very even in terms of how it hangs, and you just adjust that by just kind of pulling and making sure you have an even a length of the strap at the end here. Okay, so, and this is obviously something you do if you do need to have a strap. If you don't need a strap, then this step here is not something you need, and you just go ahead and put on your pants. But I tend to do it like this because I have very wide hips, so when I do my my band here, it ends up being a little bit loose for my waist, because my waist is smaller than the widest part of my hips. So that's usually why I end up having to do the strap. But let's say you have a circumference of the widest part of your hips and your waist it's not too much of a difference, then you probably don't need to do something like this. Okay, all right, so, and then you'll just pretty much, when you have your pants on, this is gonna be something that you can knot here however you do it. Okay, and then this is how it will look in the front. Yeah, so that is it. I'm gonna end the video here, so thank you so much for watching it to the end. I hope you guys enjoyed making these granny stitch pens with me. They're stripes, they look nice. These colors would be any colors of your choice obviously, but I hope whatever you did with yours, that you're in love with it and you like it, and you're gonna share this video to let your friends and family know that they can use the tutorial to make something similar. And I hope you subscribe, comment, and like, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye.